If we could go ahead and call this meeting to order. Roll call? Pledge allegiance, sorry. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the roll call.
Yes, sir. Board Member Brown,
Present.
Board Member Murdoch,
Present.
Board Member Cox,
Present.
Board Member Reed,
Present?
Board Member Jensen,
Present.
and Board Member Bryant.
Present.
Excellent. We do have a quorum.
Where do we go from here?
We,
You do not have any personal appearances. Your next option is a motion to approve the consent agenda, approving the minutes from the October 4th, 2023 meeting.
And do we have those minutes?
The minutes were in the packet for the board's consideration there. I would like to call out, there are a few that were not on the board at the time that we had that meeting. And so if you were not, feel free to abstain from voting, or if you've had a chance to review the meeting at any moment, obviously feel free to vote for it if you've had a chance to do that.
And I have.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Very good.
And I second that.
Any discussion on the motion? No discussion on the motion. You can call that motion for a vote.
Is there any discussion? No. So call for a vote?
Yep. All those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay. Any abstaining? Any objecting? Unanimous approval. Your next item on the agenda is unfinished business. There is none. After that, you're going to have new business, which will start with sub A, the election of new officers.
So with this, excuse me, for the Board of Appeals, there are 3 officer positions. The chair kind of presides over the meeting, the vice chair, the chair cannot make it to the meeting, and then the secretary, staff actually serves as the secretary or the board clerk. So if there's any motion to elect a chair for this evening to preside over the meeting and a vice chair, those would be the motions or the nominations that we would be looking for.
I make the motion that Chad Buck be the chair.
That's
Is
not
he-
on the board.
He dropped off? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought he was the one missing.
So you can,
I think Doug Jensen would be a good chair.
you can nominate another board member, you can nominate yourself if you'd like. The individual nominated, whether they accept the nomination.
Okay. Open the floor to nominations. Any nominations to serve as chair?
I think,
I'm happy to serve as the chair if you would like me to. That would be no problem.
Okay. Any other nominations? If there are no other nominations, you can close the floor to nominations. With only one nomination, you'd have approval by acclamation. Mr. Murdoch would be able to serve as chair moving forward unless there's a competing nomination.
no.
Mr. Murdoch, the floor is yours.
Thanks. So we need to elect a vice chair. So is there a nomination for a vice chair or someone willing to serve as vice chair?
I nominate Randy Reed.
Any other nominations? Okay, we'll close nominations, right?
Does
And then-
Mr. Reed accept that nomination?
Yeah,
Very good.
close the nominations. Everybody in favor of Mr. Reed for vice chair? Excellent. Okay, so Mr. Reed's vice chair. David, you're still going to serve as secretary, correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. Jonathan, do we need a motion for him to serve as secretary? Okay,
Do.
It's,
I don't think we have in the past, as long as
Right.
it's staff serving.
okay, all right, sounds good. Okay, So the second piece of business then that we have then, so that's the only officers we need, right?
Correct.
Okay, so then we're gonna move to item B, the case number, and we'll turn it over to staff here for the case number, on the Lucy Webb, project.
Thank you, sir. Before the Board of Appeals tonight is case number BOA 2026-002. It is a dangerous and public nuisance building order for the property at 1206 Lucy Webb. The property is legally described as Peaceful Meadows Lot 25. A little bit of background on the property and kind of the case this evening. The board is being asked to consider a dangerous and public nuisance building order issued by the building official earlier this year as a result of fire damage that was caused at this property back in November of 2025. The property, as I mentioned, is located right there at Lucy Webb and Cedar Ridge Drive, zoned R1 single family, and is surrounded entirely by single family zoned properties. As I mentioned, on November 7th of 2025, a fire occurred at this property in the basement. South Metro, the fire department, responded to the fire and secured the home. Following the fire, staff worked with the property owner, Demota Parks, and their insurance provider under the purview of Section 510 of the City Code. Following the inspection and the determination of coverage by the insurance provider, at that point, staff initiated the proceedings of Chapter 510, which is the condemnation proceedings or dangerous and public nuisance building order. The city provided the notices as required by that section of code, including the 45-day timelines to commence and initiate and complete the work. A little bit of the history and some of the things that we've accomplished, as I mentioned. The fire occurred in November of 2025. On January 15th, following the conclusion of the review of the property owner's insurance, the city staff inspected the property. Under Chapter 510, there's 17 conditions that can constitute a dangerous or public nuisance building. The city identified that 6 different conditions existed on the property. Those are described in the order, in the letter to the property owner, and they're also depicted in the photos that are in your packet as exhibit number 5. Upon our inspection, we noted significant damage to the home, not only as a result of the fire, but as a result of the accumulation of goods inside the home over the past several years that was made, significantly worse by the amount of water that was put into the property to extinguish the fire. During our inspection, staff also noted significant damage to the foundation of the home, including cracking, settling, and kind of heaving in multiple areas of the property, which we felt was critical to the structural nature of the home. Section 510.050 is what directs the building official to prepare the order for abatement based on the conditions that we observed in the property. And as I mentioned, that was sent to the property owner, giving them the notice of the findings that we had identified on the property. On January 21st, we met with the property owner in person to inspect the property after it was secured with the property owner. That time is when we delivered the required notices in person. It's outlined in the city code. The deadline within the original order for abatement was to start the work by March 7th, with completion date of April 21st of 2026. As of March 7th, no actual abatement work had commenced on the property, but the property owner had made significant efforts to further clean up and secure the property to kind of keep it kind of under control in terms of the debris and items that had spilled outside of the property during the fire. Over the past several weeks, we've worked with the property owner. They had recently begun discussions about selling the property to a qualified individual that may be able to take on the repairs that were necessary. And both of those individuals are here this evening. City staff has met with both the property owner and their realtors and the proposed purchaser of the property to kind of go over the condition of the home, what's needed to bring it back into compliance with city code, kind of the scope of work that will have to be taken on if repair is taken on with the property. And I wanted to kind of make sure the board understood where we're at with the recommendation. So as I mentioned, the initial path that we went down was to issue an order for demolition for the property. And that was based simply on the condition of the home as we experienced during inspections, but also based on the property owner's ability to really afford and oversee the required repair that was needed here. And so we proceeded down the path of the demolition order, which brought us here to this meeting. Several weeks ago, as I mentioned, we were contacted by the property owner who had listed the property for sale and had received a few offers on the property. And so at that time, staff convened with the interested party that was looking to purchase the home, went through the conditions and everything that we have done to date. Both the city staff and the applicant, the property owner, and the buyer are on the same page, it appears at this point. with the work that's required, the scope of work, and the timeframes in which the city would like to see those changes made. And so as a result for tonight, what staff is going to recommend the board do is to continue the case rather than act on the order by the building official. And we'd ask that the board continue that for at least 45 days. And there are 6 conditions in the staff report that are outlined that are kind of conditioned upon that continuance. I'll go through those briefly. As I mentioned, the purchaser is here this evening if the board has any questions. It's contingent on the closing of the sale to that individual, Dana Brown. Staff would like the sale of that property to conclude prior to April 22nd. It sounds like they're on a timeline to complete that. A structural analysis staff would like to see, which is on your in front of you this evening. The proposed buyer did provide that to staff earlier today for your all's review. Because of the significant water that was in the property, mold is a significant problem, and so we would like to see efforts to remediate all of the mold prior to significant work taking place. We would like to see the applicant pull those permits within 45 days to ensure that they stay on that timeline to get the work done. And the last condition is that the failure to proceed with that work or acquire the permits within that 45 days would cause staff to call another board meeting to then go back down the path of seeking the demolition of the property through Chapter 510. In your packet is, examples of all the letters and the notices that were sent to the property owner, structural analysis, and then an outline from the current property owner of the work that they've taken on since this process began. That concludes my staff report. If the board has any questions of staff, we're happy to answer them. And both parties, in terms of the current property owner and the purchaser, are both here this evening as well. So that concludes staff report. We're happy to answer any questions.
Then Mr. Zur.
Just as a quick follow-up, again, this is a hearing. You've got individuals from the applicant here. If the board is interested in hearing from them and any details as to their proposed plan of action moving forward. Without closing that hearing, I'd be suggesting tabling the matter for that 45-day period and continuance being granted for it. If you've got questions on procedure, I'm happy to provide that.
We need to open the public hearing, though, before they have any questions, or would you like us to ask any questions or stuff beforehand?
So my view of it would be this is a hearing that allows for your determination. I don't know that it's identifiable as public hearing under the terms of the code.
Right.
Correct. The property owner at this point and the applicant or the purchaser would be the only two really purview under that.
Okay.
Assuming there are any questions of the board. If they're not, like I said, that would conclude staff's information at this time.
So at this time, does anybody have any questions of the owner? Purchaser, sorry, I guess is what we're really asking. Okay,
Very good.
so we can move forward with the motion on that, right?
You may absolutely
Yeah.
may.
Okay, so would need a motion to continue the case for 45 days.
Is there a date specific?
45 days would be the minimum. If the board would like to continue it until a date certain, like I said, if we do have to reconvene, staff will have to go through the noticing requirements anyway, which would exceed the 45 days. But the intent behind that is to make sure the purchaser is proceeding forward, which I know they're eager to do.
Mr. Zur, we could continue it though for a minimum of 45 days, right?
Yes,
That
you
could
could.
be the way the motion could be structured.
Yep,
right?
you sure can.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation of city staff to continue for 45 days with the 6 conditions that have been noted.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Any other discussion on it? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. The case will be continued for 45 days. Mr. Gress, is there anything else as a part of this that we need as on the agenda that we would go through?
Staff has no other reports to give to the board unless there's any public comment or commissioner comment. I believe that concludes our business.
Okay. Mr. Zur, is there anything else we need to do tonight?
I'm not prepared to provide a city council report covering the time frame between October 4th, 2023 to the present for all city council actions. So I am more than amenable to the notion of skipping that aspect.
That seems fair. Is there any members of the public who would like to comment tonight? Okay, then I would say that we would stand, do we need a motion to adjourn, or can we just stand? We need a motion to adjourn then.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second? Anybody want to second that?
I second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor of adjourning, raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you.